Hi everybody, this is Sam and I am here with Audrey Esarey.
Yep.
And this is her award-winning quilt, Best Machine Quilting. It's called Raspberry Roulette, and I would love to hear the story about it, Audrey. Take us there.
Okay, so when in the summer of 2020, I started hand dyeing my own fabrics, and I'm obsessed with color gradations. And so I love playing with color gradations. This quilt is made with 2 gradations that go from turquoise to magenta, and then we take it to the darker value of turquoise to the magenta.
Okay.
So then I flipped them so that I had one going light to dark and one going from dark to light.
Yeah.
And layered them together in this kind of rotary phone style quilt. When it came to setting it into a background color, I was really stumped actually on what color to do, because I didn't want to match any of the wedges perfectly. And so I dyed one of these kind of turquoise, a little bit darker turquoise, and it was overpowering. And so I decided on this dull purple and hand dyed this. And then this is like the start, stop project over and over again. I paused for a little bit and then picked it up and quilted it diagonally. So I started at the corner and quilted straight lines diagonally, turned it 90 degrees, and then started at the corner and went diagonally again.
Do you find when you're working the quilting off grain to the grain of the fabric that you have to do any special tricks or mind anything to stop it from stretching in those directions?
I'm just very careful. So I don't intentionally stretch any of the fabrics, especially when I'm quilting diagonally. I try to get everything to lay nice and flat, and I'm very gentle with the fabric so that I try everything I can to not manipulate, so that I don't end up with something that's wonky or that I can't stretch back into the right shape.
Yeah, that you can't block it back in.
Yeah.
How are these? Are these inset? Are they applique?
Everything is inset, normal 1/4 inch seam, and so each of these circles was set into the individual wedge, and then I joined all wedges together. I set this center circle into the ring, and then I set this into the background.
Okay.
So these dark purple backgrounds are continuous cuts of fabric. There's no seams joining those, so it's not like a quarter circle assembly.
Yeah. Okay. And is this? No, that's just a shiny thread. That's not a metallic, right?
Yeah, it's a glide,
It's a
40
glide.
weight polyester thread, and so it just has a nice sheen to it, and the contrast against the fabric makes it really sparkle.
Okay. So this is all one background color, but we're changing it by the usage of the thread.
Yes.
How fun is that?
And then I hand dyed the back of the quilt also. So what I've enjoyed doing recently is take the dyes that I used on the front of the quilt and use them on the back as well in a different style of dyeing, so that I get a different visual texture on the back of the quilt than I do on the front, which is typically a little bit more solid.
Yeah, the back of the quilt has a much more what I call moving texture.
Yeah.
So when you dyed the front fabric, did you keep it moving or machine it in order to stop it, to keep it relatively solid?
I did. It was low water immersion, but I did do a lot of agitation, so that I still got some visual texture, a little bit of marbling or that light that comes through on a hand dyed fabric. I did that for the ring with the circles in it, the wedges with the circles.
But not the extreme dark lights that come from just leaving it.
Right. No, I got in there with gloves and did a lot of manual agitation so that I got some texture, but not an excessive amount of texture.
And is it normal in your process to work on something for a while and then retreat?
No.
Are you a kind of like see it through girl?
Yes. Normally I start something and then, I see it through to the end. With this project, for me to have so many points where I thought I don't know what I want to do next was quite unusual. When I dyed these 2 gradations, actually I started with one of the gradations and set it aside. I just kind of dyed it for fun, and then I came back and dyed the darker value, and then thought about how can I offset these so that I was creating kind of that intersecting value and color gradation.
Yeah. So having gone through that process with this quilt, how do you feel about it?
I mean, I love the end result of the quilt. I sort of felt like I needed to pause at all of those spots so that I got the best result that I could. I'm just typically not super patient. I want to have the answer. So it feels very good, the result that I ended up getting. It felt like a different project because I did have a lot of pauses before continuing on.
It's wonderful. Thanks, Audrey.
Yeah, thank you.